All right, we're gonna give some time for people to join us, and going to give Michael. He had some personal issues today to work to deal with, and he's going to be joining us here very shortly, and we'll get started. But anyway, we're real excited. Uh, this is our first episode of What Lies Beyond, and we're real excited and glad to be here.
Yeah, same here.
Wait to get some people in here.
We should go on like a paranormal road trip. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I haven't been in the field in a long time. That would be kind of fun though. I'd want to go to. I'd want to go to like, I've been to a couple. I've been to Vicksburg, Mississippi. I've been to that battlefield in South Mississippi. I think I've been there like once. I think I've been to Kennesaw once. I'm not sure, but I just really pumped to be here. You know,
Definitely.
I've been playing this while we're waiting for everybody. I've been playing this game on Steam. It's called Mothman 1966, and man, it is so much fun. It's complete with the Men in Black and everything. It's just a really cool game. It's kind of like a retro type thing.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Man, 67.
But anyway, it should just be a couple of minutes. Hopefully, Michael will be with us pretty soon. So I bet the weather's cold up there.
Oh yeah, it's really cold. It's like 50 degrees. That was the high today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like them though, but a lot of the leaves are falling off now. We're gonna be getting winter soon. I heard we're gonna get hit hard with snow.
Yeah. So I hear.
Yeah. It's like whenever snow shows up, it doesn't want to go away. Ever.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. It's like, no, I'm staying here.
Hello, welcome. We're just waiting for a few more people to come in, and we're gonna get started here shortly. Hey, what's up? Welcome in. Glad to have you. We're gonna get started here. Michael's running just a little bit behind today, but we're gonna get started here shortly. Thank you for joining us. Today Michael is gonna bring us up to speed on all the news and ufology, pretty much starting with the China balloon incident, the things that happened around that time. I mean, we know that the China balloon was the balloon. It wasn't actually a UFO, but around that time, we had all these other objects that were shooting down over like there was one tracked over Montana, one over the Great Lakes, and it was really, really interesting time. And then we had the congressional hearings, and it was pretty interesting time. But Mike's going to get us all up to speed on that here as soon as he logs in. He had to move today, and he got done pretty late, and he's just trying to get himself situated and ready to rock and roll. Hello, welcome in. Thank you for being here. We're just giving it a little bit more time because one of our Michael, he's running a little bit behind. He had to move today, so I want to thank all of you for joining us, and we're going to get started here very shortly. Very glad that y'all are a part of what lies beyond. This is going to be an interactive experience, so feel free to chat, to utilize our chat to interact. I want you guys to be a part of the show and a part of the conversation. If you have a question you want to ask us or a potential guest in the future, please type your question in all caps. That way we can highlight it for you. And we're just glad to see. We're glad to have all of you. Yeah, this is going to be a good time. We from our last program, Project Stargate Fringe Research, this is kind of like a spiritual success for that. But I've always wanted it to be more interactive, be live and stuff like that. So I switched platforms, and I think this is a much better platform for everybody. And I hope everybody enjoys it. Definitely. I've already got some pretty cool guests, very intriguing guests lined up. I'm in the process of scheduling, and hopefully I'll be able to interview some candidates to manage us and help us produce content. I'm hoping that'll happen pretty soon. I'm working on that right now. And it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be awesome. I've been researching lately while we're waiting on Michael. I've been researching this guy named his name's Father Malachi Martin. He's got a book called "Hostage to the Devil," and it's about his career, his life as an exorcist. He was a Jesuit priest in the Roman Catholic Church, and he left the Jesuit order, and he let go of his. He was relieved of his vows of obedience and one of the other ones, so he could do work on his own and make his own living and everything. So he wrote a lot of books. And one of his, a gentleman from New York City that he was a police officer. I've been talking to him lately, and he's very interested in coming to be with us. And his name is Ralph Sarchi. He's been on, he had a TV show at one point. He does, I think he does minor exorcisms and paranormal investigations, and he's a pretty cool guy. I'm looking forward to bringing that content to us here pretty soon. And next week, next Monday night, we're also going to have a special guest. Greg, you want to tell them about that?
Was that going to be? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. It's been a long
Nick,
day.
it's Nick. You're Nick, the Civil War reenactor.
Yeah, Nick Puglia. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm functioning on like 2 hours of sleep myself, so I totally understand. Yeah. Welcome everybody. Again, some more people have joined us. I just want to say we're going to get started here really shortly. And he's actually about to log in now. So Michael will be with us, and we're going to get started. I'm really thankful for all you to be here. If you have a question or comment towards us or a guest in the future, please type your question in all caps so I can highlight it and we can answer that accordingly. We'll get to your questions and stuff as soon as possible. I just want to thank everybody for being here again. We're going to be we'll get going here in just a few minutes. He's going to be here with us really soon, and we'll get started. There we go. Michael is here, and welcome back, Mike. Good to see you, my friend.
Thank you, sir. It's a new day.
Absolutely, man, and we're stoked that we're glad to be here, everybody. And again, this is What Lies Beyond. And before we get started with our conversation, I want to tell you this is basically a spiritual successor to Project Stargate Fringe Research. This is that was as it is or as it was, and that, but this is something kind of new and fresh. And I'm just thankful to have all of you here. Feel free to use our chat and everything, like I said, and we're just really glad to be here. And Mike, I hope that everything's going well on your end. I'm glad. Thank you for. I know it's been kind of a crunch today for you. Thank you for being here, and we're glad you're here. A lot's happened. I guess we'll kick it off with this. The last several years have been very, very interesting in the world of ufology specifically. And we had the China balloon incident, which seemed to be kind of a catalyst for other things. We know that the China balloon was just a kind of a spy apparatus, and that's all it was. But there's all these other objects and things. There's a lot of events that surrounded that event. And like we shot down several objects. Can you let's kick it off with that, Michael? You want to take it from there?
Yeah, like the initial things that we were starting to get where they started to report objects over the Yukon, which was the initial start. And that one is the one that they kind of let get away and go across the entirety of the United States to where they shot it down over the coast of South Carolina. But
we lost Michael. Whoops. Having some technical issues. There we go. He's back.
Where did I go? Okay.
There you go. Right. You're back.
Yeah, something happened there. I don't know what happened. But yeah, generally, that one went over the Yukon, and then it made its way somehow across the entirety of the United States to South Carolina, which they shot it down and let it get into the Atlantic Ocean, and then shot it down.
They shot the one over the Yukon down.
Yeah. Yeah, after it had traveled across the entirety of the United States.
Good God.
Yeah. And the one over the Yukon made its way through Canada, down into the United States, to South Carolina, and then it got out into the Atlantic Ocean, and they shot it.
So it was shot down over the Atlantic Ocean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they didn't want to shoot it and then have it have any remnants of it land in any major populous area or something like that, was Biden's reasoning behind it.
Right.
And at the same time, during the course of its travels, there was another that had shown up over Nevada, and it kind of made its way to the Great Lakes, or it could have been two separate objects, but you have two objects within 40 minutes of each other. Wow. Show up over Nevada, and then a new object shows up over the Great Lakes.
So there was actually two objects. Sorry for cutting you off. I didn't know there was two objects over the Great Lakes. I knew about one.
That one. But that one apparently was the same object that had shown up over Nevada. So within 40 minutes of it disappearing from Nevada, it showed up over the Great Lakes where they shot it down. And we've not heard anything about that one. They've not told us what it was, where the wreckage, or if it was recovered or anything. They said, well, we're going to go recover it, and then that's it.
Well, I remember President Biden going on. He was doing a press conference or something, and he was asked about one of these objects, and I don't remember which one it was off the top of my head, but like he's like, "Well, we think it was a balloon." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean,
yeah, and then there was one other one that had come out of Oregon, and that one had pretty much immediately gotten shot down. But absolutely nothing has been said about it other than we're going to fire on it, and that's it.
Is that now? I know there was one at some point. It was tracked over in Montana, or was that the China balloon? I get it all mixed up.
Say again.
Weren't they tracking one over in Montana at one point?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the balloon, or was that a UAP?
That was the UAP.
Okay, wow. I think that I think this stuff is pretty hard to deny now, because we have. After that, or around that time frame, we kind of jumped into a congressional hearing with David Grush and two other Navy pilots. Can you kind of bring us through that a little bit?
Well, Grush had shown up a few months after the effect, and Grush had shown up, and he had gotten with Ross Coulthard.
Now, who is David Grush? Who is Grush?
Grush is he's a commander, and he is a part of high levels of the intelligence community, and he was part of a UAP UFO investigation team that was not associated with AARO, which is the All-Domain Anomaly Research office that they have now with Kirkpatrick. But he went and interviewed somewhere around 45 to 50 people, and every one of them started having, pretty much the same comments, that the government and the military has been involved in a long-standing UAP recovery crash retrieval program, and that they too had possession of non-human biologics. So he went to his superiors, and he's like, this is something we should probably be looking at. This is something that we should, take a good stab at, because, the public needs to know what's going on. And they automatically started reprimanding him, making threats against him. He needs to shut up. So he filed a complaint the way that, he's supposed to do. He filed a grievance, and it got to the head of the Department of Defense and the Inspector General.
Didn't he get a lot of some? I remember when I was watching part of that hearing a while back. I was actually showing it to. We were watching it with my mom and dad was visiting several months ago, and we were watching it together because they're kind of interested in this subject now a little bit, and I remember him saying something to the effect that he was threatened. He had threats on his physical safety and otherwise. What do you know about that?
Yeah, they were making threats against his career, threats against his family and his friends,
and his security clearance too.
So he filed the grievance, and the Inspector General and the Department of Defense said that this information coming to this guy seems to be pretty credible, so we need to look into it. And as soon as they started to say this, he got a hold of Politico, the New York Times, the Washington Post, a bunch of high-level journalists, and none of them were interested in hearing what he has to say. So that's when he got a hold of Ross Coulthart with News Nation, and I can't remember the name of the other organization that he's with. But he got a hold of a bunch of independent journalists and did his interview where he's dropping bombs, just dropping bombs left and right. And as soon as he does that, then the next thing you know, Burchett, Luna, Marco Rubio, Schumer, all the people that are in Congress start to say, we really need to look into this, which is when they started to do the hearing. They got a hold of Commander Fravor and Ryan Graves. And originally there were supposed to be 6 people that were going to testify at that hearing, but 3 of them pretty much at the last minute were kind of given the word that you probably really shouldn't, because some bad things are going to happen to you if you do.
Right. I think that a lot of this stuff, I think a lot at this point, it seems to me like because of the Freedom of Information Act, they want to keep this secret. They would outsource it to like private corporations. They're doing like doing military research and development for the military, like Raytheon and Lockheed Skunk Works. I think that's so, because you see, if let's say you and I wanted to get information, use the FOIA, and we send a FOIA request, and they can, it's beyond plausible deniability, because people can, because it's a private corporation doing the actual research and development, they can't, it's a private entity, so they're exempt from FOIA requests.
But the thing is that the only thing that you can get access to in terms of the FOIA request is basically kind of who's paying for it. Like, you can kind of get the paper trail, but you're not going to see exactly where it's going, other than, well, the Pentagon is out $81 billion.
Yeah.
For a fiscal year,
Yeah, so that's like during the Bush administration. Donald Rumsfeld either intentionally or unintentionally let the cat out of the bag that like billions of dollars basically were missing from the black budget, were unaccounted for. I don't know if you remember that, but he pretty much let the cat out of the bag and said that. You really, I think they need more bipartisan oversight on this black budget, because at the end of the day, we need, I'm a taxpayer, you're a taxpayer, and it seems to me that it'd be nice to know where some of this money's going, without of course without letting out any of our deep secrets. But this UFO subject is paramount. It's one of the most important subjects of our time.
Yeah, and Grush, in his testimony, they were asking him questions like, you have, the locations of where these objects are. Do you have the locations of where the biologics may be held? The names of the corporations that would have access to these things. And of course, everything that he's been given in his testimony has been vetted and approved by the Department of Defense and the Pentagon. And he tells them straight, and he's like, there's a lot of things I can tell you, but there are also things that I can't say publicly. But if you get me in a skiff, I'll give you everything you want. And so fast forward a little further than that, now they're fighting for the skiff, and they're being denied it left and right, left and right, left and right. Nobody wants to give it to them.
Didn't they finally schedule a skiff or yes, something to that effect?
Yeah, they had an initial one where Burchett had gone in with a bunch of defense officials in the Pentagon, and he said that the initial hearing and skiff that he was in recently is a bunch of smoke and mirrors, cloak and dagger nonsense. They had to bleep him out on live television when he said it's bullshit.
Yeah.
And they asked if he had been able to get a hold of the documents and everything that Grush has, and they're doing everything they can to discredit Grush. Pulling things out that he had an alcohol problem, that he's insane from having PTSD, that he is a wife abuser and things like that. And he's gone through counseling and everything, and the government, of course, has cleared him mentally for doing the job that he's doing, because he's still doing a lot of things in the government that are hush hush, and he's good enough mentally to do those things. So why is what he's saying considered to be nonsense?
Right. Well, I would, I think this is going to be kind of one of these situations, Greg, where like it's going to be more than just a simple matter of having a private skiff. I think that they're going to have, in order for this to get blown wide open and have an effective congressional investigation, I think it's going to require some more firsthand or maybe even material witnesses or something who could come forward. What's really important, though, to me is the fact that Congress needs to do whatever steps are necessary to protect these witnesses without them getting nailed with prison time or anything like that, or any other kind of threats or negative feedback of any kind.
Or being
they do. They really do. And now, they've. Go ahead, Greg. You were going to say something. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I said that. Yeah, they're just going to, like Goresh, they would just discredit them and try to
Mm-hmm.
find whatever skeletons are in their closet to say, oh, he's a wife beater, he's an alcoholic, or he's got mental health problems. Like, okay, well, we got reasonable, reliable evidence from these witnesses, plus they have material evidence to come forward with. So why would you discredit them?
Mm-hmm.
But this is what the powers that be want to do to protect their secrets.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and I think initially what it's going to take is they're now looking at people that are firsthand witnesses, according to something that I saw recently on The Hill, which is a short, independent news broadcast type thing. It comes on like the ad channel or whatever on cable or something, and they were talking about how they're looking at 85 new whistleblowers, as well as that Arrow and the UAP investigation task force and things like that are now accepting testimony from all avenues of the military and private industry and things like that. And it's also going to take, not only, credible firsthand testimony, but it's also going to take somebody walking out with a body or a craft, or, a lot of people have always said this, for years and decades, that, if they're real and they're here and they want to, do whatever the heck they're doing, why don't they just land on the White House lawn and show themselves?
Right.
Well, the reason why is because we killed them. Our species has a very bad tendency to have outright hatred, anger, and malice toward anything that's different than us. And, a 4-foot-tall, spindly armed creature with big black eyes is probably about as different as you can get from a human being,
Yeah, you know, that brings me to this thought. I think that there's a lot of different theories as to what these beings are, and hey, here's my cat. My cat decided to join the conversation. um, there's a lot of possibilities with this phenomenon as a whole. Like, what are these things? There's a lot of different possibilities. There's the extraterrestrial hypothesis. There's the interdimensional hypothesis, which I kind of that's what I kind of gravitate towards because of how we understand the universe works and whatnot. It would take so much somehow that they're traveling across dimensions, but I don't think this is. I think this is more of a local thing. I'm not convinced that these are necessarily beings from another galaxy. I mean, they could be. I'm not closed-minded towards that, but a lot of the we've never, to my knowledge, we've never had sightings of these things, leaving our orbit and going into deep space, as far as I know. Usually it's like somewhere local, like buzzing around our atmosphere, but buzzing around. And the fact that they seem to be able to materialize, dematerialize, and destroy our laws of physics, including gravity, is astounding. And that's kind of why I lean towards that a little bit. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see a lot of them in our atmosphere. Supposedly, NASA has picked up large objects on the other side of the sun. They've picked up objects that are, buzzing and running around the moon, Mars, Jupiter. But yeah, and you're right. A lot of people, they have the interdimensional hypothesis. They have the extraterrestrial. They have, time travel, things like that. But I think it's probably a good heavy mix of all of them, in a way. But the science is sound from the people that have firsthand knowledge with these things, and how they talk about how they're able to fold space and time itself, and that how they're able to use 0-point energy to generate whatever they need to do to jump through wormholes or time or space time and things like that. But at the same time, I mean, who's to say that space itself isn't a barrier into another dimension?
Yeah, I remember, Greg, when we had the last time we had, you was with, I think you were with me when we had Dr. Taff on, Dr. Barry Taff, the parapsychologist. I don't know if you were with us, Michael. You may have been. I think you maybe. Okay, you missed out on that one. Mm-hmm. What we were talking about his book, Aliens Above, Ghosts Below: Explorations of the Unknown.
Good book, by the way. Good book.
Oh yeah, did you ever get a chance to read it?
Oh yeah, I read it.
Oh man, just a little bit. I want to get your feedback on that. But I'll finish my point. He made a comment, and he talked about this at some degree in his book, that if we could figure out what powers, basically what drives, what type of energy drives psychokinesis, like poltergeist phenomenon or whatnot, is caused by. I think there's two types of poltergeist phenomena. I think there's some kind that's caused by a non-human or a non-corporeal a spirit of some kind, or an alien intelligence of some kind that's non-corporeal. And then I think there's some that are caused by the human consciousness interacting with matter in local areas of space and time. But if we could figure that out, we could figure out what type of energy that is. Dr. Taff said it best. We could build starships. We could travel the cosmos. We could do all across dimensions, probably. But yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not very familiar very much with any of the paranormal and things like that. But I'm learning a little more here and there. But I did read Dr. Taft's book, and I thought it was pretty interesting and he kind of delved into like the hitchhiker effect a little bit as well in that. And that's also been, talked about in, at length by like Colin Kelleher and Dr. Lakatsky and what's his name? The name just escapes me. Right
Dr. Thelma Moss.
Yeah. And George Knapp also talks about that too, especially with like bilocation of energies and things like that came from out of like Skinwalker Ranch and things like that. A lot of the people that were out there have had a lot of tag along poltergeist incidents that have happened with them and hitchhiker effects. But yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I find that very interesting. I think there's, after researching the paranormal umbrella, as I call it, everything from UFOs to non-human entities to psychic phenomenon, et cetera, I see so much crossover between all this phenomenon. I'll give you a quick example. Greg, that night we had our UFO sighting together. You remember that? It was back in 2006, something like that, Greg. Well, after you left, I had this sighting background real quick. I had this for about 2 months straight. I had this. I was having these sightings of UFOs in the same general area of space where I was living at the time, and I remember me and you, Greg, were closing up. We were working together at the time. We were closing up our department, and I was like, hey, man, I've been seeing this thing. I've been seeing these objects every night for like, the past month and a half or so. And I was like, I'd love to get an eyewitness to this, to attest to this. And so you followed me home. You actually followed me home, and you agreed to come home and see it for yourself. Because I wanted someone else. It's not always good to have another witness to verify you. But at any rate, after that, we saw this object manifest. It was probably no more than a mile and a half away. It wasn't that far away. It was pretty close. I mean, it wasn't a stone's throw away, but it was fairly close. I've seen UFOs a lot closer than that. I've had a decent amount of close encounters over the years, both by myself and with other family members and friends. But at any rate, after you went home, I went inside to lie down for the evening, and I had some poltergeist activity, some sort of paranormal fallout, as I've heard it's called. And sometimes it's telepathic experiences. Sometimes it's a lot of times though it's also poltergeist like phenomenon. And we had a lot of poltergeist phenomenon, a decent amount of poltergeist phenomenon in that house. Even my mom and dad, who are very conservative with these subjects, they even noticed it. And and they didn't talk a lot about it, but till after the fact. But I remember things going on in that house, and I can't help but wonder if it was either indirectly or directly related to the UFO sightings and other experiences I had.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Grab some water.
I've had that. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I was going to say was that particular area, I think we were discussing that area, excuse me, because what I experienced when I was there was you had one object that would appear in one part of the sky, then disappears, then appears in another spot. And it was really bizarre, and I thought, well, what if it's a helicopter? But it's like it wouldn't have moved that quickly from one end to the other. So my question though is, what your theory would be about that area and how you have these unidentified objects in that area.
That's a good question, and I'll just give you my take on it. And so, where I was living at the time, we weren't really all that far from Dobbins Air Reserve Base, because I did see some F-16, F-18 interceptors in that airspace on a few occasions, and it seemed like they were looking for something. But a lot of these UFO sightings are in what I call cluster spots or triangle areas, where you have a lot of unusual phenomenon, because North Georgia, that area of North Georgia that we used to live in, and you still live in, Mike, has a rich history of UFO activity. And in far extreme North Georgia, we also have a history of cryptids and other in a lot of haunted locations, kind of the Coal Mountain Triangle area, as I dubbed it last year. But at any rate, I think that there's something there, that where the veil is thin, for lack of a better term, or have to do with the geography, the fact that there's a couple military bases nearby. That does happen. I mean, these things have been seen hovering right smack dab outside of some of our military bases, even going to the point of shutting nukes down. So that's kind of my hypothesis with that, and it seems to be kind of a popular hypothesis as well. I don't think it's not just me.
Yeah. Yeah, that was what I mentioned, because I thought there had to be like a military base nearby, and I thought maybe it could have been military aircraft, but as you pointed out before, it's like military aircraft do not operate in that type of behavior. But what's interesting though is, like, when you have any stories about alien abductions or UFO sightings, it's usually in a very, I don't want to say desolate, just very isolated. I could probably say that if you have extraterrestrials, they would want to be in an area where they know they're not going to be threatened. And then being around a military base is sort of like waving a stick at a bear, per se, you know what I mean? Which I would find a bit unusual. But at the same time, though, their technology is thousands of years ahead of ours. But still, I just find that a bit odd that they would want to be around where military aircrafts and weapons would be.
Yeah. One thing that I've learned about them also is, over the years, is they seem to operate in a very clandestine manner. Daryl Sims told me when I interviewed him a while back, like a couple years ago, and I'm trying to get him back with us again, by the way. But he said one thing he said something that really struck me. 60, he said, on his per cases he has researched, he said 60% of those alleged abduction scenarios happen in broad daylight. I found that kind of interesting. Like, people could be walking down the street in downtown Manhattan, and boom, next thing they're not there anymore. The next thing they know, they're in bed and laying in their bed or something like that. And I find that very intriguing also, that fact. Yeah. Greg, let me ask you this. Next, kind of jumping around here a little bit, but next night, we're going to have a friend of yours on the program. Can you give us a little sneak preview about that, who he is and what he does?
So his name is Nick Coolio. He lives near where I live, and he is a living history reenactor. He does Civil War. He's with the 5th New Hampshire Regiment, and I spoke to him back and forth, and he usually often goes to the reenactments at Gettysburg every year, which is a place that it's on my bucket list. I have not gone there yet, but hopefully sometime you and I can go there one time.
That would be awesome.
That would be. But I've always known that Gettysburg is also known for having a reputation of being haunted. And it's smack dab in the middle of a town that recognizes its past. And there's so many trigger objects, as we usually use in the spooky woo paranormal business. Living history, ghost tours, living history events, reenactments. So there's always a lot of stories about sightings and paranormal apparitions and experiences there. And he's going to tell some stories about what he's experienced when he goes to Gettysburg.
Wow. I'm looking forward. I've always been, I'm kind of interested in war history, mainly because I'm a veteran myself. But from what I learned, from what I've been told and researched a little bit of, the Gettysburg is considered one of the most haunted places in America. It's like one of the top 10, I think, or something like that. I'll have to get the statistics on that, because a lot of people have had paranormal experiences out there. A lot of people have actually had the full body apparitional sightings. So I find that really interesting, because a lot of hauntings you might see like a shadow, or you might see this or that, but these things are sometimes it looks like a real live human being marching or doing this or that. I've heard a lot about that, and so I'm really excited about meeting Nick and getting his perspective on this, and learning about the history of the battle itself as well. I think that's going to be cool.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Today's episode is going to be kind of short. We're gonna wrap it up here in just a minute. But next Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have Nick on here, and we're gonna have a long discussion about the history of the Battle of Gettysburg and the paranormal fallout from that battle that exists today and is still going strong today. I'm really very much looking forward to seeing all of you there next Wednesday. This has been fun, and I'm glad that I appreciate those who have joined us for being with us. When we get more, we're going to be doing mainly bi-weekly for the time being, except for this week, because I'm not available 2 weeks out because I have to work. But we're gonna do is have him. We're gonna do this next Monday night at 10 p.m. And from there on, it's going to be a weekly thing until we get a little bit more listeners and viewers. And once that happens, or if we get really, really super busy with guests, we'll switch to a weekly a weekly format. But anyway, at any rate, I appreciate everybody here being here with us. Michael, thank you for getting us up to speed on.
And I'm sorry that I was late, man. I mean, it's just.
Oh no, it's okay. Yeah, I know you've got a lot going on. You had to move. I appreciate you and being here to begin with. I'm glad. I know you're tired. That's one of the reasons we're kind of cutting this short a little bit tonight.
Yeah.
I want everybody to. I want you to get some rest. And any feedback, please hit us up on the Facebook page, the Project Star Paranormal Research Society. Share it with your friends. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Share it with your friends. Feel free to share this video on any of your social media. It's been really great, Greg. I'm glad you're back. Thank you for being with us, and Mike, thank you again for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
This is What Lies Beyond, the podcast, and I look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Yeah. Peace out.
Y'all have a blessed week, and stay safe, everybody. Until then.
Peace, love, chicken grease.